is the right person or the contact that's going to be able to get you into that spot. So even the customer that comes up to your window, make sure.
I would venture out to say at least once a week, when I go to a gas station to fill up the generator or the truck, somebody's walking up to me saying, "Hey, do you have a business card?"
Right. Or how do I find
Or,
you?
"Hey,
Or
how
where do I go?
find you?"
Or
Right. You know, so I'm spilling it off. You know, hey, Facebook, Instagram, or whatnot. And then there's
we send emails, hundreds of emails out a week. We send messages through that, LinkedIn platform, and we just hope to hear, a 1%, 2%, 3% return on those messages. But those are all new locations that you didn't have before.
6 months from now, when she gets a new purse and she changes it out and that pops out, maybe she has an event that following week or something
Right.
We just take for
I need
granted
more business
those.
cards.
We take for granted like those little small steps that cost you nothing and require nothing.
Well, if they're asking you to come out Friday, that is your opportunity. That was a yes, right? That was a yes, you can come out. Don't mess that yes up with, hey, can we do Tuesday instead? Can we do Wednesday instead? Because that might be the difference between them saying yes or no. Grow your business, right? So how do you go out and get new locations if you're not doing it through a booker? If you're trying to land like a big client or a big spot, let's say you know of an office building where there's, 3,000 people in that building and they've never had food trucks before. Like, how do you land that big customer?
You're getting good with the ones who have the contact.
With like networking? You mean networking?
Yes.
Who has the contacts?
Security guards,
Okay.
car wash guys. Because the car wash guys got onto that lot.
Okay.
And if the car wash guys got onto that lot, they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you just don't know who is the right person or the contact that's going to be able to get you into that spot. So even the customer that comes up to your window, make sure that they're going back to the big 3 C's. Make sure that they're getting everything so that if you do find out that that's the person, they have already experienced what it is to come to your truck and they'll be the first person to co-sign you.
Yeah. I think using your resources, and we talk about resources all the time, but like using the tools that are available to you, like social media, right? So like if you have a spot that you're trying to get into and you're an individual food truck owner and you're trying not to go through a booker or an organizer, ask your friends or your followers on social media, hey, like I've been looking at this location for a while and I think that my truck would be super successful there. Do I know anybody that works for that company? Do I know anybody that works at that location? Do I know anybody that services that location? Because the person that might be the N for a specific location that you're looking for might be in your circle and you don't even know it. Right? They might follow your truck. They might already eat from your truck and they just don't realize that, hey, I would love to have this truck at my location. I would love to have this truck at my job. Right? I know Tina down the hall in HR. She's the person that Tomas can talk to about coming to our building. Right? So don't be afraid to ask your followers or ask your network for help in getting into some locations or getting into new locations where you can take your truck and hopefully be successful in.
I worked with a barbecue truck back in the day, and that was the first thing that he told me. He's like, anytime I come to a good, solid spot, he said, the first thing that I do is I pop open my phone. I look at the surroundings because all of these apartment complexes or business complexes and stuff, they have their own like
social media sites and pages.
And the first thing he does is message them. He said, I might send out 100 and only get 3 replies.
And that's a great segue because as an organizer, that's exactly what we do, right? So like the most cost-effective way of finding new work without spending money on advertising, because we spend a lot of money on advertising too to bring up new business, is we do research. So for us, we use a tool, and I'll say it publicly because it's available out there, but LinkedIn has what's called Sales Navigator, right? And you pay for it. It's a paid service. You go in and what it does is it allows you to search for contacts by company, geographical area, size of company, by their job title, right? So we go in and we filter it by, within 50 miles, I want to see what HR professionals are working at companies with more than 500 employees, right? And what Sales Navigator does is it spits out everybody that is on LinkedIn that has that position within 50 miles of you, right? And then you pay for the amount of messages that you send out. So like, let's say with their basic package, you pay for 50 messages, right? So it only allows you to message 50 people. Now, just because you message 50 people, you might get one person that replies out of those 50 people, because a lot of it is spam. I mean, just think of how many messages you get in your email each and every day. How many of those do you actually open, that are unsolicited emails that are not from friends or family or business partners or someone that you interact with, right? So you might only open one or two of those and you might have 100. Well, it goes the same for all of these contacts. So like when we reach out, we send emails, hundreds of emails out a week. We send messages through that, LinkedIn platform, and we just hope to hear, a 1%, 2%, 3% return on those messages. But those are all new locations that you didn't have before, right?
Conversion rate wise,
Yeah.
that's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Because I was doing outbound.
It's the same thing as cold calling. Like,
exactly.
You call 100 customers. If you get one yes, you made your commission for the day. You hit your goal for the day. If you're a food trucker that's looking for more work, especially during the seasonal months or the slower months, like how do you do that?
So it's funny that you say that, because one of the things I was doing the other day, Tommy and I actually went to one of the markets that were here local to us in Brandon.
Yeah.
And when we went, there was a smaller market, but there was actually a food truck there. So I was like, it started clicking with me. I know that food trucks do, markets, and there's a ton of markets all over the place. But one of the biggest things that I found is I opened up my social media, Facebook specifically, and I'm not following any of these things.
Right.
And I think that's a detriment to your business. If you're a business owner and you're trying to find business, or you're trying to build your network and build your personal brand, like you need to be, they're all free to join. All you gotta do is click the button, right? So you need to be looking for all of these. You need to be a part of every one of these groups, whether it's car show groups or markets that are all over the place, or utilize Google and the internet to see like what's happening in Tampa, like what's happening in Tampa this weekend, or what's the big one that is it the CLT or CL Post?
Creative Loafing.
Yeah.
They're the Creative Loafing is our area, like food blogger or food publication that everyone kind of follows.
Exactly, like little things like that. Like you need to be a part of every single bit of that.
Yeah. And I think that, a lot of us get discouraged when we're looking for new business, or there's a festival and you just heard about it. It's like Burgers, Brews, and Blues, right? And they're expecting 5,000 people. And you're like, oh, I'm going to email the organizer. Or I'm going to, put in an application to be a vendor. And they come back to you and they say, hey, sorry, we're full. Then you kind of stop there, and you shouldn't. You should write that down. You should notate it on your calendar so that next year, 3 months before the event, you're reaching out, and then you actually have an opportunity to book it, instead of being disappointed or discouraged that you didn't get it this year, because a year comes back like in a heartbeat, especially when you're in business. Like the time just flies by. And you never know, that same event organizer or that promoter or the company that's putting that on might have 6 or 7 events throughout the year. Absolutely. Maybe they do something every other month, and it's not Burgers, Blues, and Brews this month, but next month it's something else, or the following month it's something else.
Don't just take the rejection email and not say anything. Respond back, hey, thank you for your time.
Do you have any other events?
Do you have any other events? Hey, keep me in mind. This is the cuisine type of my truck.
Right.
And
I do that all the time. I think that's a best practice too for food truck owners, is after you do a catering for a customer or you work an event, always write a follow-up email or a follow-up message saying, hey, do you have any feedback for us? Is there anything that, that you were unhappy with? Or is there anything that you want me to compliment my team on? Or, hey, thanks for the gratuity gratuity that you left at the window. Cause, sometimes I'm not on the truck, or a lot of the times I'm not on the truck. And I just want them to know that I know that they left a gratuity so that they understand that we're paying it out to the team. But tying it back to making sure that we're following up with customers, even when it's a successful event, and reminding them, hey, anytime that you need a food truck or you have friends or family that are looking for a food truck, like, we're your guys, right? We want to be like your first phone call whenever you have any kind of food need. And then give me the opportunity to tell you, no, I can't do it, or no, I'm already booked, right? And that's super important for having not only repeat business, for new business as well, because every time someone has a good experience, if you ask them to, and that's the big thing, because everyone loves talking about bad experiences, but it's very rare that they'll go on and give you a positive review, right? Customers are like 10 times more prone to giving you a negative review for a negative experience than they are for a positive one. But when you go out and you ask them, hey, I know you had a great experience. I would appreciate if you recommend me to your friends or family. You'll be surprised at how many people actually do.
I'll tell you what, you would be surprised. And I know this is this is a huge pet peeve of yours.
Yeah.
You would be surprised how much just leaving your business cards on your table
for you
on the food truck do for you.
Absolutely.
And you could be on a busy shift where you're not paying attention, but next time, I implore you to pay attention, right? Put 20 business cards out on your serving table.
See how many you have left.
And then see how many you have at the end of your shift, right? Like, that right there is contacts being made. It's going in somebody's pocket. It's going to sit on somebody's desk.
Right.
It may get handed to somebody's friend. It's going to get left in a purse.
Right.
But guess what? The lady that it fell in her purse, or she put it in her purse, and 6 months from now, when she gets a new purse, and she changes it out, and that pops out, maybe she has an event that following week or something like.
Right.
Like, we just take for
I need more
granted
business
those.
cards.
We take for granted like those little small steps
Yeah.
that cost you nothing and require nothing
Well,
from you.
it goes back to conversion. It's just like sending 100 emails, right? So every business card that you hand out isn't going to come back to you. It's not going to be a lead. It's not going to turn into a catering. But if you hand out 100 of them, right? One phone call and that is a confirmed booking pays for 1,000 business cards or 2,000 business cards, right? So if you're a truck that doesn't have business cards, shame on you, right? You should definitely, that needs to be the very next thing you do after watching this podcast is ordering business cards. Because I know that we're in 2023, right? And this is the digital age where people have digital business cards or QR codes or websites. Like, I get all of that. Believe me, we have them. But I can't tell you how many times I go to a business meeting and someone asks me for a business card and I hand them my little fancy, metal card that's a QR code, and they go,
I don't have my phone on me.
no. Or they go, don't you have a business card? Exactly. And I'm like, yeah, actually I do. Give me 1 second and I'll pull them out. Right. But my first instinct, because we live in this digital age, is to
go digital.
Right. Let me give you a QR code because you're not going to lose that. I know that you're not going to lose my contact once you save it, but they're also never going to look at that contact once they save it either. No. But a business card is kind of a physical reminder of, hey, remember me. You know,
I've been asked so many times. I would venture out to say at least once a week when I go to a gas station to fill up the generator or the truck, somebody's walking up to me saying, "Hey, do you have a business card?"
Right.
Facts.
Or how do I find you?
Hey,
or where do I go? Or
right. So I'm spilling it off. Hey, Facebook, Instagram or whatnot. And then there's been times where I'm stuck, like where they asked me for a business card and I don't have any. I ran out.
Right.
And then you feel stupid.
Right.
See, so I just
that's like somebody ordering a burger from you and you ain't got a burger.
So, and it's just another simple thing that you can do to grow your business. Yeah. So I think the last thing we need to talk about when you're looking at landing that one location that you've been unable to land, or you're looking to try new locations, is you have to go in it with a mindset that, sometimes you need to make an investment in a location for it to pay out long term, right? So something as simple as, if you've got an in with a location, but they're unsure, offer for their executives or whoever the contact is, hey, come out to my truck and I'll buy you lunch, right? Here's when I'm in your area the next time. I want you to come out and see what it's like, when I'm at another office park or at another location that's similar to that one that you really want, have them come out and see what the experience is going to be like, so that they know what to bring back to the office and what talking points to hit with whoever that decision maker is, right? And incentivize them. Say, hey, I'll buy you dinner, or I'll buy your family dinner, or whatever the case may be, so that they see firsthand what it is. And sometimes a location's an investment, and sometimes you have to try it on a smaller scale. So maybe Tuesdays is the day of the week where they have the least amount of people in office. Or actually, I think these days, Mondays and Fridays are probably the slowest days at office buildings, right? And maybe they say, hey, can you come out on Friday? And in your head, you're like, Friday. I know that it's going to be dead. Like, I don't want to come out Friday, right? But if they're asking you to come out Friday, that is your opportunity. That was a yes, right? That was a yes, you can come out. Don't mess that yes up with, hey, can we do Tuesday instead? Can we do Wednesday instead? Because that might be the difference between them saying yes or no, right? That might be the turnoff to where they're like, you know what, this isn't a good idea. So, twice a month, right? So don't be afraid to take an L, right? If it's for the long game. And, that's one of the things that Adam talks about all the time is some of these trucks, are afraid to take an L, or they don't want to take their lumps, or they're only interested in the big shifts or in the big wins. But a lot of the times, like, your long-term success comes from those smaller shifts, or those shifts where you might not necessarily make money on, right? But you've got to take those opportunities to get your brand in front of people, to get your truck in front of people, because those smaller gigs might turn into larger ones.
Guaranteed.
Absolutely. You got to be willing to take your lumps. You're not going to hit a home run every time.
Right. And those lumps might not always be losses, even though on paper they were a loss. If it leads to another catering, if it leads to another event, a new contact, we had a slower shift at the hospital a couple weeks ago, and a customer came up and was like, hey, I'm with the college, right? The nursing college. Yeah. And they're like, I'm with the nursing college. I want you guys to come out once a month to the nursing college. And all of a sudden that college has, 2,000 kids on campus, once a month for testing, and we got in, right? Well, we would have never gotten in if we wouldn't have taken that smaller shift.
I just got that confirmation.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.